Hi, I'm Miss Liz. I'm a youth librarian at the Amy Van Andel branch of Kent District Library, and here we are at the Amy Van Andel branch on a snowy February morning.
And I'm Miss Susan. I am from the Plainfield branch of Kent District Library. I'm also a youth librarian. And today we have some book talks for you of junior chapter books. So I'm going to start us off with a book called The Mysterious Disappearance of Aiden S. as Told to His Brother by David Levithan. So Lucas's brother, Aiden, disappears one day, vanishing without a trace. The police question his family and friends, but no one can shed any light on his disappearance. They're positive he didn't run away. They have no idea what happened to him. Finally, on the 6th day of his disappearance, Lucas hears a noise in the attic. When he goes up there, he discovers his brother lying on the floor in front of a wardrobe, wearing the same pajamas he had on when he disappeared. When Lucas asks where he's been, he says, "Avenu." He claims to have been in a different world, but of course, no one believes him. No one except Lucas, who pulled a leaf out of his brother's hair when he first came back. It was a royal blue leaf in the shape of a diamond, unlike anything he'd ever seen. As the days go on, Aiden recants his story because he doesn't want to be bullied at school and doesn't want everyone thinking he's a weirdo for saying he was in another world. But he still shares some details with Lucas. And Lucas wonders, should I believe him? Is it true? I don't know. Is he just making it up? Because his brother is really good at telling stories. But there was that blue leaf. So was he really in another world? I have to read The Mysterious Disappearance of Aiden S. to find out.
That was a really good book. I read that one too, and I really liked it.
I couldn't stop reading it.
I do love a mystery. Do you have another book to share?
I do.
Okay.
On this cold day, The Best Worst Summer by Elizabeth Eulberg. In The Best Worst Summer, Peyton's family has moved, and she had to leave her best friend behind. It's the beginning of summer, so she's lonely and miserable, and it seems like it's going to be the worst summer ever. But then she finds a box buried in her backyard, and the box has a mysterious coded message in it. Suddenly things are looking up. Then in alternate chapters, we go back in time to 1989, where two best friends named Melissa and Jessica are going to have the best summer ever. And they decide that they're going to document their summer and put it in a time capsule, and they will bury it at the end of the summer. So I wonder what it is that Peyton dug up. Peyton makes a new friend named Lucas, and they decide that together they're going to solve this mystery. They're going to find the girls who buried the time capsule 30 years earlier, and they're going to discover why this girl's friendship was destroyed, because it kind of seems from some evidence in the box that they aren't friends anymore. So meanwhile, back in 1989, Jess and Mel's summer isn't going according to plan. Mel is jealous because Jess has new friends, and then when her dad loses his job, things really start to fall apart in her life. So, will Mel and Jess stay friends? Will Peyton and Lucas solve the mystery of who buried the box and what happened to the girls? To find out, read The Best Worst Summer.
Sounds very mysterious.
It is, yeah.
Okay. I have a summer book to share as well. This is called Summer of Brave by Amy Noel Parks. And in this book, 12-year-old Leela begins her summer by making a pact with her best friend Vivi that she is going to tell the truth all summer long. She's kind of used to saying things that she thinks other people want to hear, but she is going to do her best to tell the truth and be brave this summer. She's currently living with her divorced parents in two halves of a duplex, so she just goes back and forth in the same house, but she doesn't really feel like she belongs in either place because she moves back and forth so much. But her parents decided that this was going to be the best thing for Leela. Also, her parents both are teachers at the university, and they are encouraging her to apply to a magnet high school, which even though she's only 12, it's not that far away, and the application process takes a while. So Her mother is a scientist and wants her to take the science track, and her dad is an art teacher, so he wants her to take the art track. And she doesn't really want to do either one. She wants to just go to the public school and try a little bit of everything, but she is not brave enough yet to tell her parents what she really wants. She also gets a job as a junior counselor at a summer camp, and her best friend does not get the job, and they were going to work together. So then there's all sorts of drama between the friends as well. So another aspect of this story is, as Leela's walking back and forth to the summer camp job, it's on the university campus, and there's a student, a college student, that whistles at her as she walks by. She's 12. She's not comfortable, but it starts the discussion of street harassment and how that makes her feel and who she should tell, or should she keep it to herself. She does end up talking about it and makes herself brave for this summer. I highly recommend this book. It was a lot of fun to read. And I found a lot of myself in Leela trying to say what's in her heart and be brave. So Summer of Brave, it's available in print only. The author is local to Michigan as well. So check it out, Summer of Brave.
It's hard to be brave when you're 12.
It is really hard. It's hard to be brave sometimes when you're a grown up too.
Well, that's true. And I have a story about someone who was trying to be brave.
Awesome.
Yusuf Azim is Not a Hero by Sadia Faruqi. In this book, Yusuf Azim was born in a small town, Frey, Texas, where his dad owns a dollar store. He loves robotics, and he has been longing to participate in the regional robotics competition for years. And this year, it looks like the school might finally have a team, so life is good. However, it's 2021, and it's the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. People in his town are commemorating the horrible day with parades and banners, which really makes his Muslim community nervous. They weren't treated well in the direct aftermath of 9/11, and there's a new group in town called the Patriot Sons, and this group seems determined to stir up trouble for the Muslim community. His uncle gives him a journal that he kept in the months after 9/11, and while he's reading it, Yusuf realizes that he can't keep quiet. He needs to speak up against the bullies in his life, especially after a terrible misunderstanding at school gets Yusuf taken to the police station for questioning about a bomb. So, to find out how Yusuf learns to stand up for himself, read Yusuf Azim is Not a Hero.
Well, I have actually kind of a similar book to that one. It's called Ahmed Aziz's Epic Year by Nina Hamza. And in this story, 12-year-old Ahmed is moving with his family from the beautiful state of Hawaii to Minnesota. Now, they're leaving because his father has an illness called cirrhosis. It's a liver disease. And if they move to Minnesota, he can be closer to doctors that maybe help with his disease and with his management of it. So that's where they're going. But in between, they were given the option to go to California or Japan for this treatment, and his parents chose Minnesota. So Ahmed's not super happy about the move, but they're going to live in Ahmed's dad's hometown. And he's actually going to go to school where his dad went to school. So this is the first time he's moved in his life. Again, it's not a great circumstance for him. He doesn't know anybody here, but he has a lot of aunts and uncles around because they're in his dad's hometown to help them transition to this new way of life. So Ahmed's not a joiner, but his ELA class is doing a project that he has to work in a group with other kids, which happens pretty often. So he kind of has to come out of his shell a little bit, but they're talking about books. They talk about the book Holes. They talk about From the Mixed Up Files of Miss Basil E. Frankweiler. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And The Bridge to Terabithia. So if you've read any of those books, they talk a lot about them, which is kind of a neat connection if you're a reader. Mm-hmm. But this book was really fast-paced, and Ahmed does come out of his shell. He makes some friends. there is, of course, a school bully that is his kind of antagonist throughout the whole thing. And there is a situation where the police end up at school, and Ahmed is questioned about a photograph of himself that someone else posted on the school's connection website. So there's a little bit of intensity there, but really he comes out on the other side, a better 12-year-old. So Ahmed Aziz's Epic Year by Nina Hamza. It's available in print and CD audiobook. The audio is great on this story. I recommend it.
My adult book group just read Holes, and they loved it.
Oh, see?
All right. Faceless by Catherine Lasky is also about heroes. Got a theme going on.
I think we do.
This is set in 1944, and Faceless tells the story of a family that belongs to an elite group of spies called the Tabula Rasa. Tabula Rasa means blank slate, and the people in this particular unit of spies have faces that are very unmemorable. So that's what makes them great spies. People can't really describe them and frequently forget them. They meet them, and then when they meet them again, they've forgotten that they've already met them because they're just not memorable. At the beginning of the book, Alice, who's 13, is dismayed because her older sister says, I'm tired of the spy life. I want a memorable face. I'm having plastic surgery. I'm dropping out of the spy game. And she's very upset because, you know, her sister won't be part of their life anymore. So after her sister's surgery, she does indeed look more memorable. And Alice and her parents are sent to Germany to be spies on Hitler and his household. And Alice ends up working in Hitler's household, which is very stressful. It's a very tense book as you wonder, oh my gosh, Alice, is she going to get caught spying? Is she going to get caught passing on the information that she learns about Hitler and what's going on in Hitler's people's household? And she keeps seeing this woman in the street that looks like her sister. And she thinks, is it her? Am I imagining things? I don't know. So there's a little twist at the end involving her sister, and I won't tell you if she gets caught or not, but if you like spy fiction and World War II and secretive things, Faceless by Catherine Lasky is a great book.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
It was very exciting. It was very tense.
I have a historical fiction novel as well. This is The Barefoot Dreams of Petra Luna by Alda P. Dobbs. And I actually listened to the audio of this, but here is the print copy. And this is a novel that takes place in 1913 in Mexico during the country's revolution. Now, I had not read a story about Mexico's revolution before, so it's kind of interesting to me to read about a time period I don't really know much about. So Petra Luna is 12 years old when her father is taken away by soldiers. Her mother died when her younger brother was born, so it's up to Petra to kind of take care of her family now. She has a little brother, she has a little sister, and an abuelita, a grandmother. And basically their town gets burned to the ground by these soldiers during the revolution. So they can't stay where they are. They decide to make a journey north to America. But they're going through the desert on foot with just what they can carry because they don't have any other means of transportation. So she dreams at night of a better life, of learning to read. That's one of her goals in life, and just reaching safety across the Rio Grande River. So Petra is a character that I cared a lot about through the story. Even when the odds seem impossible, she is strong for her family. So if you like historical fiction, if you like survival story, they have to walk across the desert with just what they have on their back. She ends up carrying her little brother. Mm-hmm. They run out of supplies. They have to go to the cactuses to find water, the cacti for water. But it's a survival story, and it's very dramatic. At the end, there's a standoff with the guards that are guarding the bridge to America. The author's note was really interesting at the end of the book because Petra's story was based on the author's own grandmother's story. And she says in the author's note that I don't really know if I believe everything my grandmother said, but she did her research. She did scholarly research on the time period and found that the timeline checked out, and these things did happen to people who were trying to cross over into America. So highly recommend The Barefoot Dreams of Petra. It's available in print as an ebook and e-audio. And again, I listened to it, and I would recommend the e-audio book of this.
Sounds great.
It was very dramatic.
All right. Unsettled by Reem Faruqi is a very quickly read book. It's a novel in verse.
In verse.
So yeah, it doesn't have a lot of words on the page, but it was really good. In Unsettled, Nora's family moves from Pakistan to Peachtree, Georgia. And as you can imagine, they find life in the United States very different from their old life. She feels odd because she doesn't dress like the other girls. She wears floral print kurtas, which I think is what this kind of top is here, to school. And when she tries out for swim, she wears leggings and a long sleeved shirt out of modesty, which makes her feel weird, and everyone stares at her and talks about her. Once winter starts, she can't get warm enough because even though Georgia is a lot warmer than Michigan, it's a lot colder than Pakistan. And she eats lunch under the stairs at school because nobody invites her to join them at their lunch table. But once she joins the swim team, she starts to feel a little more at ease, and she makes a friend named Star, who's also a swimmer and who eats lunch with her. So she finally has a friend. Star has some problems, though, and Nora and her family end up trying to help Star and her mom out of a really bad situation. And throughout the book, Nora finds her voice and becomes a stronger person, and eventually learns to stand up to the bullies who have been bullying her at school. So, Unsettled by Reem Faruqi.
Isn't lunchtime always the worst? That's
Totally.
Even as an adult, I really hate walking into a room and not knowing where to sit.
Who can I sit with?
Who can I sit with? It doesn't change.
No.
I also have a book written in verse called The Lost Language by Claudia Mills. And this book, I'll show you. Super fast read if you like a novel in verse. I find a novel in verse very satisfying because it goes so quickly, and then you've read a whole book. But usually with a novel in verse, the words are chosen really carefully, so the story is impactful.
And they're not rhyming.
And it doesn't rhyme.
No,
they're just short. That's a good point.
Yes.
They're just short blurbs. So this book is about two best friends who are both named Elizabeth, which I always like seeing my name in a book. I don't know about you, but one goes by the name Betsy and the other Lizard. So that's kind of how you can keep them apart. But they embark on a quest to save a dying language. So Betsy, her mom, is a professor of linguistics, and that's kind of her goal in life, is to save the languages that are dying, that people aren't speaking anymore. So Betsy and Lizard say, well, we can do that too. And so they embark on this journey to save a language that only a handful of people are speaking. So they try to form a club at school to get other kids excited about it, which fails miserably and nobody shows up. They try to just teach their friends at lunchtime in the cafeteria, and you can imagine how that goes. Nobody's really super excited about this journey that they want to be on. So Betsy's starting to feel like maybe this isn't the best goal for the school year for them, and she starts thinking about joining the school play instead. But Lizard kind of goes into a tailspin. There's really just always been the two of them, and Betsy's ready to maybe explore other friendships. So there's a lot of friendship drama in between the two of them as Betsy's trying to find her own way. So this book, as I said, was written in verse. There's a lot of school stories as they go through their days together. So if you like a school story, you would probably like this book. It's about friendships and families and how those change. It's simple, but it's really beautifully written. The Lost Language. It's available in print only at this time by Claudia Mills.
Our time is running short, and I know there was a scary book you were very excited about. Do you want to?
There is.
We'll end with the scary book.
Okay. Are you sure? Are you good over there? Okay. I do want to really share this book with you. Okay. This book is called No Place for Monsters, School of Phantoms. And I read this book in one sitting. It was so good. It's a great book to read on a snowy day because it begins as an unusual army of snow people start popping up around a little town. And they're kind of scary looking snow people. They're not friendly snowmen with hats and things. They all look like scary movie characters. There's scary clowns and scarecrow hats. It's very unsettling. So there's a terrible snowstorm, and all of the kids that are in school that day have to stay at school even after school's over. So they herd them all into the cafeteria because it's too dangerous to go outside. The snowstorm is really terrible. So they're all sitting in the cafeteria, and they start looking outside the windows and see the snow people start surrounding the building and peeking in at them.
Oh my.
Very scary. So a couple of the students have wandered off to the bathroom or whatever, and there's one teacher out in the hallway. But suddenly the kids in the cafeteria start watching a video about these snow people that are coming, and they go into a trance like zombies, and they can't move, and they're totally fixed in the cafeteria. Meanwhile, the few students that are kind of circling around the building, they start noticing the snow people are inside the school, and they start trapping them in different hallways, and they put their little stick arms around them, and they have to escape. It's very scary. It's kind of silly, but it's a little bit scary. The pictures are kind of scary. It's told in kind of a comic book style, but there are chapters of text as well. So it goes really quickly. This is the second in a series. So there's another book called No Place for Monsters. I hadn't read that before I read this one, and I didn't feel lost, but I liked this so much that I wanted to go back and read the first one to see how these characters all began their journey together. So kind of scary, kind of funny. I really recommend it. I think all of the kids in my house, I have 5th graders and 8th graders, and we all read it because it was really enjoyable. So this is currently available only in print. No Place for Monsters by Corey Merritt. Highly recommend on a snowy day. That was great. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. Are you good over there?
Yep.
Till next time.
Yep. I hope you read some of the books we talked about and come see us at the library.
Have a great day. Thanks.